Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to share with you some of our spring read alouds. Now, since we've been homeschooling for so long and since we love to read, of course there are many other wonderful spring themed books or books that are just fun to read during springtime, but these are a few that I have chosen for our homeschool for the month of March. I will be sharing another video in April of more spring read alouds. If you're interested in that as well, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, I share a lot of different book recommendations and things that we're reading on my channel quite a bit. Now, I am going to share quite a few books with you today. However, we typically end up reading more than what I show just because we just read through shelves of books in the house. But these are ones that I specifically choose that are spring themed or themed around our history that we do because we like to do a lot of literature-based history. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, I do want to let you know that this is a collaboration with my friend Gina, and there's going to be lots of other mamas who are homeschool moms that are joining in this as well. They aren't necessarily sharing about books. Some might be sharing day in the lives that are more spring themed or whatever, but I will link the playlist down below so you guys can head over and check that out, and make sure to check out Gina's channel. She is a wealth of knowledge and a super sweet friend of mine, so make sure you check out her channel as well. I'm gonna go ahead and break the ice by getting started with chapter books. A lot of times I think we think of read alouds as more chapter books, but I actually include a lot of picture books even with my kids who are older. My oldest son is in middle school, but picture books are something that I, even as an adult, enjoy, and they're something that I like to incorporate in our morning time or just during like some downtime in our homeschool. But I am going to start with the chapter books. So the first one that we are reading currently, it's kind of hard to see on here because there's a glare, but this is a book about Sgt York and the Great War. So this is actually a personal memoir. It's an autobiography about Sgt York, who was a famous civilian sergeant during World War I. And what's really cool is he is actually from Tennessee, which we are from Tennessee. We live in Tennessee. And I am already planning a trip to go see his home place. There's actually a whole state park after him, and it has some really awesome artifacts from World War I, which is what we are studying here in history this month. And so this is just a really interesting book. What's really great about it, first of all, I love memoirs. I love to hear people's stories. But what I think is really awesome about this specifically is that it is written using his like accent and everything. So some people may find this incredibly hard to read. I find it actually really easy to read because I'm from this region. But if you read this, just know that there are some words that you're going to be like, what is he even saying? But if you're from this area, you can figure it out pretty well. But it's a great one to study also, I think, just to appreciate different dialects of the English language and things like that. So we are reading Sgt York and the Great War. The next thing that I grabbed to read is The Wind in the Willows. I just feel like this is such a good like spring themed read aloud. And I actually have not read this with most of my kids. I have only read this with my two oldest boys. And so I was like, you know what? I think it's time we go back through that. I love that story. And then the other one that I grabbed for this month is The Secret Garden. So my kids have seen the movie. We have never read the book together, but I read this when I was little. I think most of us probably have. And I just love this story. And my kids love the movie. So I thought it would be a really great one to read for the spring. Now, because we are doing these read alouds, and I think we have another couple of historical read alouds that might come up towards the end of March that are included in our curriculum. So if that happens, this one might carry over into April. You'll just have to stick around to see what's in that morning basket. All right, so just a couple of suggestions. So I just grabbed these just to say, like, These are a couple of books that I know everybody probably has read, but these are great ones to read in the spring if you haven't read Trumpet of the Swan or Charlotte's Web. Let's talk picture books, okay? So some of these I'm sure you guys are fairly familiar with. We've read them actually, some of these a few times, but they are just favorites. And so I just pick them up at the library every time. But this is Up in the Garden and Down in the Dirt by Kate Messner. I absolutely love Kate Messner. She also wrote one of our favorite book series, Ranger in Time. And so anyway, so this book, it's just really beautiful. It kind of takes you through like the whole gardening process. And it's just really cool, like talking about down in the dirt, there's all of these different types of bugs and the whole process of decomposition and how that helps a garden. And it's a really neat, like illustrated perspective of gardening and the process that happens down in the earth. So this is definitely one I think that's great to pick up. I actually don't even know why I don't own this book. This one and this one is another one. I don't know why I don't own it, but I love this one as well. It's a very similar look inside. It is Over and Under the Pond. And again, it just shows kind of what's going on. Like, I think kids are naturally inquisitive, and this kind of just feeds into that so they can really see kind of what's going on. Some different animals that live in this pond, in this specific habitat. And so what I think is cool also is at the end of the book, she will give, so these are really great for nature study too. So what I really like at the end of the book is it has all the little critters that you see in the book are at the back. And it just gives more information about each of them. So this is actually a really good one to, both of these are actually really good to do for some nature study, especially if that's something that you don't do very often, but you kind of want to get your feet wet in. These are good books for that purpose. The next one that I grabbed at the library is Fletcher and the Springtime Blossoms. We love Fletcher, and Fletcher basically has a book for every season and holiday you could think of. I love the illustrations. They're very whimsical because they have more of a watercolor feel to them, and we just love the Fletcher books. I feel like I always share these, especially this year. I know I've shared them in pretty much all of my seasonal videos. So that's a really cute one. The next one is more of like a facts-based book called Spectacular Spring, All Kinds of Spring Facts and Fun. And so I grabbed this one from the library. And so it's more of an informational text, but it's a lot of fun. It's not like boring informational text. Now this next one looks really cool. This one is one that really caught my eye. It's called Sometimes Rain. So this book has a very rhymey feel to it. It's very pretty, very colorful, and just some really neat illustrations going on here all throughout this book. And I just really liked this one, and so I grabbed it. This last book is actually new to me. It's called The Biggest Puddle in the World. And so it's about this sister and brother who go to visit their grandparents. And I think it's the little girl asks, where does the rain come from? And so her grandfather promises to show her where the rain comes from. So they go on this adventure, and they find what they say is the biggest puddle in the world. And I think this is going to be a great book. I think my kids are really going to love it. And I won't share the rest with you. You'll have to grab this one to read with your kids as well, because it's just a fun one. Now, there were some others that I put on hold at the library as well. However, there's a lot of people putting books on hold right now, which I love to see. It means lots and lots of people are using our library system, which is a good thing. So those will probably be in our April morning basket read aloud video. So make sure that you stick around for that one that will be in April. And I will hopefully have those to share along with some other ones that I have planned to read in April as well. Now, because of our curriculum, our history curriculum is a literature-based curriculum, and so it schedules out certain books to read at different times. So if some of those end up coming up before we can get through our other read alouds, we may have to carry one or two of these over into April as well. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and I would love to know down in the comments below some books that are in your homeschool basket, reading basket, morning basket, whatever you want to call it, book basket. What are you planning to read for the spring? What are some of your favorite spring books? As I mentioned at the beginning, these by no means are even close to some of the books that are out there. I like to grab at least a few new ones to us, but there's always some favorites that come back in each year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure that you check out the playlist down below of other spring-themed homeschool mama videos, as well as Gina's channel down below. Thanks so much, guys, and have a blessed day.